Welcome into the hot corner for it must be a Tuesday, baby, but it's always a Tuesday around here.
Let's go! Yes!
Yeah, Patrick Harris, Joe Fisher with you tonight.
God!
Schultze on the ones and twos. I'm a shell of a human, but we'll make this work.
Good to have you back, brother.
Dude, you were trying to have a third week in a row of you not being here. I can hear it in you. You texted me earlier saying, I don't feel good. And I was just like, here he is.
I don't.
He's just trying to pull out of a third show in a row now.
Well, I'm finally healthy. The problem is that this voice is
Dear God.
this voice is a little brutal right now.
Sound like you're ready for a sex line, bro.
Well, yesterday when I was at work, I talked to people like this. So I
You're doing
consider
better.
today a massive upgrade.
Well, yeah, as Schultze said, you sound like very even deeper voiced man than before, and I'm slightly aroused.
That's what I said yesterday.
That's sultry.
That's what I said yesterday at work. I said I didn't know my voice could get deeper.
Yeah, it's with all the cigarettes and just you having a naturally deep voice. I mean, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thought? Just put a little flu in me and
Now-
a little sinus infection, and here we go. My throat has been on fire the last few days.
Is this plain sickness? Like, when did you get back home?
I don't know. We got home Sunday, not this last Sunday, the Sunday before. And on Monday or Tuesday, my oldest, she was sick.
So you're like 9 days past returning
Yeah,
home. Okay.
she was sick. And then I had a work party where I busted open a bottle of tequila, took a swig, and passed it down the party bus. And then everybody at work got sick all of a sudden. And,
the communal tequila bottle will do that.
Yeah. And so today was the first day at work that I had less than 4 people call out.
Less than
Less
4
than.
people. Wow.
Yeah.
It is just running through the team right now.
Running through the team. And but I showed up every day because I'm a baller. I am ready to run.
You're a winner,
Saying
baby.
that with that voice is not very
I
convincing.
am a baller.
I'm dying, but I'm so cool.
You know, sometimes if I try to do Trump, my Trump voice isn't so bad right now.
Yes.
That's so weird too.
Yeah, well, you sound terrible. But
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. I've missed you two.
Hey,
I've
no,
missed you
man.
two so much. Joe wants to act like I didn't want to be here today, and I've been dying because baseball's been so fun over the last few weeks, and I haven't really got. I talked to my wife, and she's like, "Shut up, nobody cares." And I'm like, "You sound like a P1 at 1080."
But babe, this happened, and then this happened, and this trade, and this move.
Big moves, baby.
Stop.
I mentioned the name Randy Arozarena, and she goes, "I know that guy." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what does he do?" She was like, "No clue."
We're still trying to figure out how to pronounce his name, and he's been in the league for like 4 or 5 years.
It took me a week, but I got there.
I've been telling people
Randy A. That's what I'm calling him.
I've been telling people about Randy's raft from Cuba to Mexico and why he plays for Team Mexico now. And people are like, "Wow, that's really cool." And I'm like, "All right, people are listening to me."
Yeah,
that
I
is a
mean,
big deal.
That's usually what happens with wife, significant other, girlfriend. You try and talk to him about sports and tell him like this really passionate like story that about someone. You're like,
So
oh, babe,
excited.
oh, and they're like, cool.
If it makes you guys feel better, my wife did the same thing. My wife and I woke up from a nap like yesterday. I was like, "Oh, the Mariners made another trade," and she's like, "I'm not your dad. I don't care."
Yeah, I think I said something to her. I was like, "Wow, Jazz Chisholm went to the Yankees. That's so much better because I didn't want him on the Mariners." And she goes, "Is this Euro still? Like, where are we?"
She's like, is this football, soccer? What sport are we talking
She's
about?
like,
here?
"I can't keep up with you. I'm gonna get drunk."
Well, where were you, man? Where'd you go?
Well, I went to
what
Disneyland.
was the life of Patrick Harris?
I went to Disneyland. I took the kids to Disneyland, and boy, my friend, it was amazing.
It looked awesome. I saw all the pictures.
It was so great.
I think you posted those pictures last Tuesday.
It was a few days after we got back.
You did the Instagram dump. You laid a fat dump on Instagram of all the pictures, and it looked like it looked like the happiest place on earth.
We did well. We did well.
Did you get a turkey leg?
I did not get a turkey leg. Shout out to my wife. We did Disneyland really well. The kids had a blast. Things went really well.
I haven't been to Disneyland. Well, I only went once, but it was in 2010. And from your pictures, a lot has changed.
Well, in California Adventure, there's alcohol everywhere,
Oh,
which is
God.
amazing.
Oh yes,
that puts the
please.
adventure in
Which is
California Adventure.
absolutely amazing. I got to drink at the Star Wars Cantina in Disneyland.
No
That was
way.
also amazing. That was cool. The Star Wars fan in me was very much sufficed while at Disneyland.
Did you just tell your family, like, can you just leave me alone for like an hour by myself, please? Just go
That
somewhere
was
else.
the plan, and then I decided to share that moment with my children and my wife.
Oh,
Did
what
the-
a family, man.
Did
I
the
also had no
Star
choice.
Wars attractions live up to the hype? Because
Yeah.
I still haven't gone there for all the Star
Yeah,
Wars
they
stuff
really
yet.
did.
Really want to.
They really did. The Star Wars stuff at Disneyland is really, really cool.
Hell
Do
yeah.
they have someone dressed up as Jabba the Hutt slithering around the area? Because that would be great.
No, that would be amazing. But my
That would
kids,
be awesome. Like a 500-pound suit.
I got pictures of my kids with Boba Fett, the
Yes.
Mandalorian, and Rey.
How much does Jabba the Hutt weigh?
Like 1,000 pounds, bro.
Is
like
that-
half a ton?
Is
Do you
that
know-
in the Star Wars lore that they have his recorded weight somewhere?
So you know his like slithering sounds? That's a microphone up against
That's a different sound, Joe.
up against a mac and cheese casserole where they use their hands to squish around.
Does that not what that sounds like?
That's it. That's it. That's how they got it.
According to the official Star Wars website, Jabba the Hutt weighed close to 3,000
Oh, a
pounds.
ton and a half. All right.
There it is.
Never mind.
3,000 pounds. His weight is
Who doesn't like a good rubby action?
significantly less than an elephant, but it's comparable.
Significantly.
But it's comparable to some vehicles or a rhino, which can be in that range.
Hey, dude, the Hutt family has a market on the gangster world that is the Star Wars universe.
Boy is thick. Yeah, I think I saw a question on like Twitter a few weeks ago.
Doesn't have a huge load either.
He is a huge load, Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Where it was like, what's her name? Sydney Sweeney, the really hot blonde actress with the,
Yes.
the up tops. Yeah.
No idea who that is.
You don't?
Sydney
Oh
Sweeney?
dear God! I will.
Sydney Sweeney.
Oh yeah,
Euphoria,
yeah,
that recent
bud.
Netflix rom-com.
Looking
my
up
goodness,
now.
she's-
Sid-
Oh yeah.
Your life will be changed.
Anyways, there was a Twitter question. It was like, I don't know why it was asked or if it was rumored or something like that. And they're like, what would you want her to be in the Star Wars universe? Would you what kind of character would you like her to be? I was like, dude, get her as Jabba the Hutt. Like, is there a female version of Jabba the Hutt? Just to throw people for a curveball. Like, the hottest chick on the planet actually ends up being a fat 3,000-pound Hutt.
Oh, she was in the first season of White Lotus. I saw that. Was she the douchebag boyfriend's girl?
I'm familiar with
don't
the
know.
show White Lotus. Never watched
I
it.
just watched the clips.
I know that it was, what's her name? Is it Jennifer Tilly is in that show as
Jennifer
well?
Coolidge.
Coolidge, thank you. I was getting her in.
Stifler's
Terrible
mom.
commercials. You don't hear that all the time.
Oh, I hear those all the time for Discover Card. And if those play on this station, then they're wonderful
We
commercials.
love 'em.
And yes, you should get a Discover Card.
We'd all still get with her. Come on, let's be honest.
Who? Jennifer Coolidge?
Yeah, if she showed up right now and offered any three of us, we'd be like, yeah, okay.
I think.
My wife's hotter than Jennifer Coolidge.
I mean, I don't know if I'd
Okay,
enjoy it, but I think
My wife's a
for-
lot hotter than Jennifer Coolidge, I should say.
That's fair.
But I think for the sake of storytelling and saying, hey,
Well,
I got
yeah,
with,
if you
I
hit
got with
Stifler's mom,
mom,
yeah,
you know.
she's got it going on.
And then they would ask what year, and I would say, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But yeah, it sounds like you had a great time in the Star Wars land.
We
and,
did.
and all that.
Yeah,
and then-
Disneyland was great. It went amazingly. Again, shout out to my wife. We planned really well, and we're kind of on top of it. And then I had a staff appreciation party last week that we all got sick from.
Was that?
Went to a Pickles game.
That's what I thought. I was like, didn't you go to the Pickles game? What
How was your Friday night Pickles game?
It was great. It was fantastic. It was a packed house.
Love it.
Friday night game. It was Portugal the Man night. Portugal the Man was there on the party deck performing.
They're great. I mean, Portugal the Man is that band in Portland that we've all seen somewhere, whether it was at Edgefield or some tiny bar somewhere 10 years ago.
The Lords of Portland, I
Yeah,
believe, is
yeah.
what they go by or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
They're our local heroes.
What was your theme night when you were there last Tuesday?
It was Simpsons night and free tattoos.
I saw pictures of that.
Should have got a free tattoo.
Did you see the giraffe running around?
I did not. Dude, I was gone.
You were cooked.
I think I watched maybe an inning total of baseball.
Absolutely cooked.
Yeah. But I brought
True
my
family
bat.
time.
I brought my bat and got it refilled.
I brought my bat
Wore
on
my
Friday
Pickles
as
hat.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited to get a refill of the bat.
I don't have any Pickles garb yet. I need to change that.
I just got a hat. It's like a new era, but not a new era. So it fits a little funky, but it works.
Yeah, Pickles game was great
Chinese
Friday.
knockoff new era.
Yeah.
You haven't seen
Bangladesh knockoff new era.
Okay.
Timu New Era hat.
Ah, exactly.
You haven't seen the giraffe out at Walker Stadium in the.
I have not seen the giraffe.
So I had Jeremiah Coughlin in on Sunday on Sports Sunday, which
It was great, wonderful human.
which I called the Hot Corner multiple times because I've been hosting this show as well. and
Stupid
I'm
show.
getting them all mixed up. But he told the background, the story of why there is basically a rundown, out of work Jeffrey the Giraffe, like a Toys R Us mascot costume.
Amazing.
Running around Walker Stadium. He's got like a cig in his mouth.
There you go.
He talks. Hey, do you have 20 bucks?
How
Like,
do you know that's not me?
It could be.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Have you ever
actually.
seen that giraffe and me in the same room?
I have not. Suspicions are rising now, but I'll show you some videos because it's absolutely fantastic.
That's wonderful. Oakley Dokley. Well, we have a show for you today. A lot going on. Today is Major League Baseball trade deadline that ended at 3 p.m. our
I heard
time.
some things happen.
Yeah, there's a lot to get to. And what do we feel about teams going forward? How they look, buyers, sellers. It was kind of all over the place. But we'll start where it goes most importantly. The biggest name to move is actually the name that moved to the Seattle Mariners. We'll get to that next. Hot Corner, Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan. 7:19 here, Portland Sports Leader. Don't you forget it. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. That bad boy lets you interact with us throughout the entire show. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. If you don't know, visit vancouverford.com. Joe, as much as I would love to do 2 hours of Jabba the Hutt stats,
Dude, there's some good ones.
I
Some
think,
people asking what's his BMI.
like I said, he's a big dude. His BMI is probably not as bad as you think.
Someone said it's estimated that he has a BMI of 50,
I
which
mean,
seems low. If
can
you're
you-
3,000 pounds, I'd expect it to be somewhere near the 100.
If you're a giant slug, but from the base of the ground to the top of your head is like 6'4", that helps you out.
Yeah, I forget how BMI is calculated, but yeah, maybe the fact that he is wide and not tall, maybe that helps out. The puppet weighed 2,000 pounds, cost $500,000 to make, and required 3 puppeteers to operate.
I mean, yeah, that thing, something that big, it's got to have some kind of muscle, or in this case, humans moving it around, right?
Nabadule kamanuti natu natu.
All right, let's get into this. Major League Baseball trade deadline came to a close today at 3 p.m., and I would argue the biggest acquisition of the deadline, while there were some good ones, there were definitely some teams that I saw made some moves for some guys like Eloy Jimenez to your Orioles. Joe is a fascinating move.
There were some teams that made some moves for some guys, yes.
And Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees. We'll get to a lot of that stuff, but I think the biggest one is clearly Randy Arozarena to the Mariners, and I think this is interesting on so many levels. This is a huge need for the Mariners. Corner outfield, offensive production, and a spark. Okay? Check, check, check. That's Randy and all three of them. And I think what's the most fascinating about this deal is there was a lot of talk in the preseason in spring training about the Mariners trading for Randy Arozarena, and was talking about Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, like some really big names going. And when you see, as this trade gets actually done, and you see the guys that the Mariners send to the Rays, this feels a little bit like a fleecing, if I'm not lying. And for Mariner fans and just in baseball in general, you don't see that often. I think the Mariners got away with highway robbery on this.
We, just really quickly, speaking as Mariners fans, we never are the ones that are getting like really big name players for no name
Dude, but
prospects.
Eric Bedard was going to be so good.
That wasn't no name prospects. That was Adam Jones and Chris Tillman and three other guys.
Thank you.
That was 5 for freaking 1. No, this is really nice. I literally, diehard Mariners fan, usually on like the first 8 to 10 prospects in my system. I did not know who either of these guys were that went for Randy Arozarena, excuse me. So
Yeah.
really still trying to get that right.
Why do we not know how to say Arozarena?
Dude, I thought I was saying it right last week, and then someone texted in on the Vancouver Ford text line. They're like,
The
"It's
text police?
yeah." They're like, "It's worth the price of admission just to hear you guys say his name wrong over and over again."
What were you guys saying?
I said it's Arozarena.
Oh, you're going to Anya.
And then I
No,
kind of
it's just
said it like
Arozarena.
Arozarena, like Arizona.
Oh, like
It's
Arizona. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
No,
I'm
it's
just wrong.
what's wrong with you people? It's just Arozarena.
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 There you go.
Randy.
you go.
Randy A.
Randy A.
You'll hear me screw it up
Randy
in my update
Bit-
in 8 minutes.
Big ol' Randy A.
And let's talk about how this went down. I think this is a big credit to GM, to president, for the Mariners to get this deal done, because I don't think it's easy when you're a team like Seattle that has clear needs, right? Everybody knows what Seattle needs. And if I have what you need, you get a little extra buffer in what you get for it. Yet somehow this was parlayed into a deal that got him for something that doesn't really hemorrhage the future. You know, Woo's still there, Miller's still there, Hancock is still there, the outfield prospects are still there. I mean, I have to believe that the Rays look at these two players, in Hopkins and Smith, and say, we like those guys. Obviously, they wouldn't have made the deal without it, especially with Arozarena with 2 more years. But as a Mariner fan or just as a baseball fan looking around at it, you have to believe that this is a great deal for Seattle. And I'm shocked that they were able to pull this off. I'm not shocked they got Randy. I'm shocked at the price they got him for.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just a matter of the Rays selling on him because of like his age. I mean, he's what, 20?
I think he's 27.
27? Oh, gosh, why did I think he
I'll
was
look that up.
29?
Yeah, he's 29, actually. No,
How do
Joe,
you
you're
spell
right.
Arozarena?
How do you pronounce a Rosarina?
He's 29.
He is 29. So I don't know. Maybe they felt like he's maxed out, capped out on what he can be, and that this was maybe the asking price that was going around the league as far as other teams like, hey, we'll give you our 10th, 11th, 12th best prospect and a few other guys that you can take a flyer on. Like, it is shocking that he didn't garner a top 10 prospect or someone higher in the Mariners club system. But again, like, let's keep in mind that he has not been great this season.
He's been great of late, but not the whole season. Yeah, I agree.
No, yeah, since All-Star break, he started swinging the bat exceptionally well. And we've seen what he can do come playoff time.
Obviously,
we've seen what he can do
He's
regular
Carlos
season.
Beltran 2.0.
So it's just a matter of if this was just kind of the going rate for him around the league. Because there were obviously other teams that were interested in him that were...
The Yankees would have loved Randy
The
Arozarena.
Dodgers were in on him,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So, I mean, the fact that that's what the Mariners were willing to give up and that's what landed him, you have to wonder, like, well, it might have been worse around the rest of the league with the Yankees and the Dodgers. I mean, as far as what they were willing to give up. So
Frankly, the Mariners were willing to give up more. Jerry DiPoto said that they met and expected to give up at least one or two of their top prospects. But going in, it looks like, 2 months of a bad season for Arozarena so far, basically lowered the asking price from Miller and Wood down to these prospects.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into some more stuff, but I think let's flip this for a quick moment on the Rays side, as they, Isak Paredes went to Chicago, which is also fascinating. Is Chicago in it or not in it? I don't know. That's a conversation for later.
yeah, very bizarre.
But what they got for Isak Paredes and the fact that Yandy wasn't moved is kind of shocking to me that Arozarena was dealt for this, and the package they got for Paredes didn't blow me away. And the fact that Yandy Diaz is still in Tampa, I was really for a club like the Rays that I think do really well at this, trading, developing, growing their stars. I think the Rays are maybe better than anybody. Shout out Cleveland and Baltimore right now. But the fact that no guy was really moved for a lot is kind of strange to me. It makes me feel like Tampa sold really low this whole deadline.
Kind of makes you wonder if that set the market because the Arizona.
It had to have. That's their best player, quote unquote.
Yeah, the Arozarena.
I would argue Isak Paredes was the best player, but
well, like you said, coming in, the Arozarena deal was probably the best deal that anybody made outside of the Yankees with Jazz Chisholm Jr., right? Like, those are probably the top two bats that were acquired at the deadline, and
right.
There were no big-name pitchers that were really
and if Jazz isn't hitting 4 home runs in 48 hours, I remember I saw when Jazz got traded to the Yankees, I went sick. I don't want him. I didn't want him. I thought Jazz was an overrated trade piece.
Although hearing like him just say, hey, I'll play whatever position I need to win a championship.
I will too with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge.
Well, as compared to Gleyber
I'll carry
Torres.
your jock if you want me to.
Sitting there bitching about, oh, I only play second base. You just need to trade me. Like, maybe I underestimated Jazz. Like, it sounds like that's a kind of player that would have fit in the Mariners clubhouse. So.
We'll get out on this, Joe. I'll ask you this question. Obviously, we'll get into the other Mariner moves next, and then we'll look around the league. But do you feel better that this trade has gone down? Do you feel like the Mariners did the right thing here?
Yes. I mean, you are in a playoff race with the pitching that you have. You needed to make a move. I sat here with Jordan last week saying it's like I really wasn't sure what they could do because the wheels were flying off this train. It was getting very, very ugly for this team. And they needed to make a move. They made multiple moves this week. and they went and got one of the biggest bats in the trade market.
I would argue Randy was the biggest bat you could get.
So like they get
low on bats.
They get a tip of the cap for being like, you know what, you didn't stand pat and you didn't say like, no, we're just gonna figure it out. Like you needed to make a move, you did. And what I also said last week with Jordan is like, it's not gonna just be him though. This is gonna be a team effort where you need 3-4 guys in the lineup to start hitting and like playing to their potential as what they were expected. So I'm happy that they made a move. It's going to make things interesting down the stretch. Now you just wonder if he's going to be able to translate his game and what he can do as far as stepping up in big moments. And again, he was playing well after the All-Star break at the Dish, so hopefully he can translate it over to the Mariners side of things.
And he's been pretty solid in the first 2 games,
Yeah.
or first 3 games. So like you're seeing stuff like he's getting on base, he's knocking guys in. You're seeing that, so that's what you want. That's where I want to go to next. The other trades that the Mariners did, we'll get into that. And is how do we feel? Like, was enough done considering what was out there? And does this team now have enough to get to the next level? We'll do that next. But first, we'll throw it to Schultze with sports.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the MLB trade deadline officially passing this afternoon. The Seattle Mariners adding one more piece before it was over, acquiring relief pitcher JT Chargois for a low-level prospect. He's appeared in 15 games so far this season for a 1.62 ERA. The Mariners also rolling in Boston today, 10-6. The final, lots of hits, home run from Jorge Polanco, 2 RBIs from the likes of him, and 3 RBIs from Dylan Moore. Randy Arozarena adding another hit to his Mariners time, as well as an RBI. They are up against the Red Sox tomorrow in the morning for the series rubber match. Hopefully they can get that win, and actually trying to get the MLB scoreboard up elsewhere, looking at Houston, namely the Astros and Mariners locked in first place right now, and the Pirates over this point beating the Astros 6-2, middle of the 8th. So it looks like the Mariners can get a game over the Astros if that stays the way that it is right now. Lots happening today in Paris in the 2024 Olympics. U.S. women's gymnastics taking the gold in team competition thanks to Simone Biles, as well as perfect vaults from Vancouver's Jordan Childs and Oregon State's Jade Carey. In rugby, the U.S. women winning their first medal in Olympic history. They beat Australia 14-12 for the bronze. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultze at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The home of prime time with Isaac and
Coming up in the second round of the show, we'll get into Tampa Bay Rays, as we just talked about. It looks like they ain't going nowhere.
It's not going to be the Portland Rays.
It's not going to be the Portland Rays. Looks like they ain't going nowhere. Plus, we'll have fair or foul at the bottom of the hour, as we always do. But I'd like to stick here with the Mariners. I know they're the local team, and Schultze and I are invested.
Whoa.
And
We do not claim them in this city.
What are
Okay.
you talking about? They were the local team on the radio here for years. So
yeah, dude.
I don't care. It's
Like
not
multiple
Seattle, this is
stations,
Portland,
ours,
okay?
and competitors.
yeah, exactly. They've been all over this city.
You just rub that in double time, and everybody's like,
You're right,
"Oh,
dude.
Tampa Bay's getting a new stadium, and the Mariners is Portland's team." It's like, no, F that, all right?
You're right. Let's break down the San Francisco Giants, who are the number 2 team
No.
represented in this city.
yeah, giving up on their
No.
season. Let's talk about how many people here care about them. Come on.
Sticking with the Mariners, the rest of their trades, they get Randy Arozarena from the Rays. They also get Jimmy Garcia from the Blue Jays to bolster the bullpen. I thought an interesting take, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around because I don't really care for him as what appears to be a human being, and that would be Justin Turner. Justin Turner coming in, and if you watch the game today, Justin Turner was actually extremely impactful on the game today.
Huge.
I don't care for him due to his antics in L.A. with the COVID and all that kind of stuff, and he just looks
That's why
like a
I
dude.
laugh.
He just looks like a dude I want to punch in the face.
Dude, that is one of the funnier, crazier baseball moments like of all time. Like,
Right.
dude just gets COVID, team wins the World Series, and he's like,
He's like pulled.
F it.
He's like pulled in
Let's
the 7th.
party.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm still gonna party with you guys. But what I think is interesting, what I really actually love about the Turner trade, despite my issues with Turner, is this is kind of something I've been saying about the Mariners all season. Like I talked about guys like Carlos Santana and Mariners of the past, like a Nelly Cruz, things like that. Justin Turner is a World Series champion, has a ton of playoff experience, is a consummate pro. And that is something that I think this Mariner team has massively lacked. When your vets on this Mariner team right now, outside of the new acquisitions,
I mean, who?
are Mitch Haniger
Yeah,
and
like-
Mitch Garver, who have been atrocious.
And is like Mitch Garver going to step up like, all right, guys, let's come on.
We're
We
not
need to
playing
turn this
very
around."
well
It's like,
now, so we need to
and
bring it together. It's like, bro, you're batting 160.
When I won the World Series last year.
Yeah. There's no voice in that locker room, and I think Turner is more valuable to this team than what he provides to the place. I think Jimmy Garcia is the same way as well.
And he can actually hit as a first baseman, whereas I forget who was playing first base at the
what's
last
that
couple of
guy's-
weeks. It's totally escaping me.
Tyler Locklear.
Yeah, he was
the,
batting
call
like
up.
Luke Raley. Luke Raley.
I think it was Locklear. He was
Yeah,
batting like
Locklear's their minor leaguer that
he was like batting like 170 over the last like 2-3 weeks.
Well, their
at
all-star
base.
first baseman is now in Cincinnati.
Yes, he is. Hey, it's a hitter-friendly ballpark.
All-star
great place for
last
him to
year.
turn it around.
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, so I think Turner's great. You can play him at third if you have to. He can play first, obviously. He can DH. I thought the Turner move when I first saw it, I went, oh, gross. But that's my personal bias against Turner. But if you look at it from a baseball perspective, I think Turner and Garcia coming into this team, and Randy to an extent, Randy's played in a World Series. Like, you got 3 guys that have big moment experience coming into this team. So now you got to hope when JP and Julio come back. I was laughing. I was watching the game today, and the first inning, the first 3 guys playing didn't play for this team a month ago.
Seriously, the
You
three
know? And Victor Robles, like, who the hell are you, Victor
the
Robles?
3 big hitters in the 4 spots in their lineup, like Cal Raleigh, he hit 3 home runs in a row this weekend, and then the other 3 guys are all new acquisitions.
Yeah,
A lot
and
different.
Randy, Turner, and Victor Robles.
Well, and what did you like really give up? I mean,
Nothing.
that's
Absolutely nothing.
That's the thing. Like, you gave up anywhere between your number 10 prospect to your number 30 prospect.
And I think if you look at the surface, and then Stanek gets dealt to the Mets, you're kind of, I think there was a little bit of surface, some Mariner fans that were like, Stanek, I love Stanek. It's like, well,
It's because
look
he
at
has
his
Jerry curls.
Yeah, look at his numbers. Like, Stanek has been wildly inconsistent. So getting rid of him and getting something, even if it's nothing back, to kind of see how that goes, and you're basically upgrading Jimmy for Stanek, and then you get Shaggy from the Marlins. Like, this bullpen is what we always say about classic Dipoto teams. This bullpen is great. I don't love Munoz on the back end, but his stuff is electric. And this bullpen can go toe-to-toe with any other bullpen in baseball.
Well, and Scott,
And your starters are better than anybody.
well, and Scott Service being one of the better bullpen managers in baseball too, like being able to work those guys.
Say what you want about him, he's really good with the bullpen.
It's true.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Jared Dipoto had himself a pretty okay trade deadline.
Yeah.
So the real question, my friends, is when you see Justin Turner, Jimmy Garcia, Randy Arozarena, Shaggy from the Marlins, like, is this enough to make a run? I'm not saying World Series win, but do we feel better, or is this just the what am I trying to say here? Is this the hydrocortisone on top of the Band-Aid right now?
Like
No,
the
I-
same kind of thing the Mariners have done.
Yeah,
before,
like I
maybe.
feel better, but is this where I want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you should feel better as a Mariner fan because you didn't stand pat. You didn't say, hey, let's just, like I said in the last segment, let's just figure it out. Let's stay with our guys. Don't worry, they'll keep hitting here soon. We'll get Julio and JP back, and then we'll see what we can do. Is that you went and made this team as good as you possibly could at the trade deadline for the most part. You didn't need a starting arm. You just needed to get some bats. And quite like I said, you need to have your bats that you currently have start playing better. That is the most important thing, is that, yes, you made the team better at the trade deadline, but unless your guys that are currently on this roster in the lineup are not hitting, it's all a moot point.
The good thing about the two acquisitions as far as hitters that they brought in is that as far as we've heard from the writers and the broadcasters around the team, the vibe changed immediately when Arozarena and Turner showed up. And as far as Justin Turner specifically goes, really quickly, I like the acquisition for the Mariners. I think he's the perfect veteran presence that they need. He can get home runs. He can actually situationally hit, and he's somebody that can talk about that to the other players. And Dipoto essentially got the two bats and the two bullpen arms that he's saying he would go after. I would like to see one more in the starting lineup. Essentially, you're kind of looking at like Luke Raley at DH and Josh Rojas and, him and Dylan Moore in a combination at third once J.P. Crawford and Julio Rodriguez come back.
Dylan Moore's been stupid lately.
Exactly. Dylan Moore's been amazing. He's hit 17 doubles this year. He's actually playing way above his
today.
station. And then Victor Robles, I could fight for, an argument that he's actually kind of like an extra bat that you didn't
The
really
Mariner
expect at this
MVP
point.
that we didn't expect.
Yeah, so I would have loved to see this lineup with Yandy Diaz in it. I think the Yankees and the Astros were apparently the other finalists for him as well. But, they're maybe one short, but I do think they're close now once JP and Julio get back to an elite lineup.
The one thing, and granted playing the White Sox, this will help you out, that has changed is this offense over the last week. And you have scored at least 6 runs in every single game in the last 5 games.
It's been wild.
Which I would.
It's just a shot in the arm.
Which I would guarantee has not happened the rest of the season, that you've had a 5-game stretch with that type of offensive output. Again, it helps when you play the White Sox.
True.
But it's carried over into this Red Sox series. I mean, yes, you lost 14-7 yesterday, but you put up.
But
10,
you looked dead in the water yesterday and still put 7 runs up when you were dead.
and then you put up 10 runs today, and then Polanco playing much better at the bat. I mean, this team, small sample size, 5 of 109 games, but there has been a momentum shift, and just got to keep riding it.
I'll end with this, and then we'll look around the rest of the league. When you see everybody that's moved, okay, when you look around the league and see the other guys that were moved to other teams, how many of those guys were people that you really feel like you missed out on? I think the answer is 0. Because Vladdy wasn't moved, Cody Bellinger wasn't moved, Yandy Diaz wasn't moved,
Tariq Skubal wasn't moved.
Tarek Skubal wasn't moved.
Garrett Crochet,
When
which honestly might not have been a bad thing.
Eloy Jimenez goes to the Orioles. Like, I think that's a good move for the Orioles, but I'm not sitting there going, shucks, I wish I could have got Eloy Jimenez. Robert wasn't moved.
Yeah.
Like, all the guys that you talked about wanting, you got. Like, realistically, as a Mariner fan, you wanted Randy. And then it was like, is Vladdy available? Looks like Vladdy wasn't. Is Cody Bellinger available? Looks like he wasn't. So the fact that everyone missed out on some guys has to make you feel like you did the best you could.
Yeah, It was we played a game last week, trade or fade, and we had some names of guys that were they going to get traded or fade the idea of it. And for the most part, besides the two White Sox players, Crochet and Robert, like we were pretty spot on. Like Guerrero's going to stay put, Randy got moved, Scooble got stayed put as well. So you're right. Some of these bigger names that were getting floated around, it didn't really come to fruition, but plenty of teams made moves. There was a lot of moves out there, and we got plenty more to get to.
After Jazz in New York, I think he hit a home run today. Maybe
he has 4 in 48 hours.
Yeah, maybe him and Paredes or Isaac Paredes. Like I think maybe like would have loved to see a little bit more.
Would have been nice.
Yeah, but other than that, no. The Mariners did what they could.
Yeah, let's take a look around the league and let's see. Is there anything else that stands out to you two that makes you feel like, ooh, that was a good move? And really, has anything changed for Major League Baseball? Plus a loaded second hour. We'll do that next. Hot Corner today, the Fan.
The Fan.
Coming up in the second hour, we'll get into some teams that were surprising that they were active and other teams that weren't active. Plus, we'll get into a new stadium deal for the Rays and how that could shape the landscape. Plus, we'll have Farrah at the bottom of the hour. But we'll keep with this, Joe. I'll go first. I hate to ask the question, and then I'll go first. Talking about players.
Let me ask you a question, but let me answer it as well.
Yeah. Players that got moved that you really liked, and I'll start first. I really, really love Josh Bell to Arizona. Arizona's played really well of late. They kind of had that big struggle. We've talked a little bit, that World Series hangover. Christian Walker going on the DL today was not awesome, and he's going to be out for about 3 weeks. But you just got Josh Bell, who is serviceable at first base, and then as a DH, I really, really liked that move for Arizona to kind of say, hey, we're still in it. Was there anybody that you really liked?
Yeah.
Whether it's Eloy to the Orioles, that counts too.
Yeah, and that the Orioles definitely were not. They did not stand pat. I mean, they made a good amount of moves.
Jackson coming up tomorrow.
I mean, Zach, I saw that. Yeah, that makes me nervous to all hell. Zach Eflin.
It's a big move.
Trying to get shore up their rotation, especially with the injuries they've had. Getting 2 of the Phillies relievers. In Sir Anthony Dominguez, one of the coolest names in baseball, and Gregory Soto, and then getting Jimenez today as well. I really liked the Cardinals going after Eric Fetty. I thought it was a super underrated move. That was part of that 3-team trade where Kopech also went to the Dodgers, which is a sneaky good move there.
Yep.
Tommy Edman, although he hasn't played this year, going to the Dodgers, and I haven't looked up to see if he's going to come back. But I like the Cardinals getting Fetty because if they end up making the playoffs, which it's looking pretty good that they might be one of those playoff teams, is having another arm behind Sonny Gray getting into the playoffs, especially if you're going to play a 3-game series right away.
Sonny can't do everything for you. And he's been solid this year, but he can't do everything for you.
Yeah, and when you look at the White Sox pitchers that were available between Fetty and Crochet, like Crochet, he was saying, like, I don't really want to pitch in the postseason.
That's the most wild thing I've ever heard in my life.
And he was, I don't know if he already has or he will.
I won't pitch in the postseason unless I have a contract extension.
Well, and I don't know if he already has but he will.
He had Tommy John last year.
No, I mean his innings. The most amount of innings he's thrown in a season.
Well, they said he was supposed to start 25 games this year, and he's at 21.
And he's already telling the, now not acquiring team, you also have to use me in a very specific way.
Right.
So
it's a little Josh Hader-esque, but a little different. Josh Hader's a little proven. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I liked the Cardinals because, and this is what I was going to say about the Mariners in the last segment, and we've seen it time and time again with baseball, is like, just get there. And you don't know what's going to happen.
Anything can happen.
Yes, man. We see it every year, it seems like.
I mean, the Rangers last year are the best example.
The Diamondbacks last year are a great example.
Yeah.
I was out on them in July,
Both teams
August.
in the World Series last year are like, why the hell are you here?
And, so we see it every single year. We've seen teams the Nationals of 2019, right? That's one of the most famous stories of how bad they were.
Terrible at the end of May and went on a run.
Exactly. So I mean, that's where it's like the Cardinals making that move, and then they go and get Tommy Pham today. Which, say what you want about Tommy Pham, dude hits a grand slam today, and I know he wants to win and play well in St. Louis. That's where his career started, and he loved playing in St. Louis. Yep. So, douche, yes. But does he love playing for the Cardinals? Yes. And he hit a grand slam today.
Yeah, another big one for me is I really love the Cleveland Guardians, my Cleveland Guardians picking up Lane Thomas.
Yeah.
I really like it. That solidifies that outfield.
Well, they needed help in the outfield.
Yeah, it's Lane Thomas, Freeman, and Kwan, and that's really solid. And they really didn't give up anything. They got Alex Cobb, which I'm kind of like, okay, you got a veteran on the staff, but
trust me, as someone who has had Alex Cobb on his team, it's not much. All
yeah,
right? You're not getting much.
But I love that this Cleveland team looked at what they had and they said, look, we are here because of the guys we have. We just need a few tinkers, and that's what we'll take. Cleveland is one of those teams that's like, we have a shot to do some damage in the playoffs. It's different than your Orioles, Joe. Your Orioles are like, we need Eflin, we need bullpen help, we need an outfielder. Like, they're going for it because they have World Series aspirations.
Yeah, them getting Trevor Rogers and giving up what they did was kind of interesting.
Right, to where Cleveland's kind of like what you said earlier. Cleveland's like, let's just get in. and let's just see what happens. Our guys got us here, so let's do it. I love the Lane Thomas pickup from them.
Zach Eflin to Baltimore. I think nobody's really talking about
Well,
that.
he's been a struggle in Tampa this year.
They needed starting pitching, though, and Baltimore, they know, kind of like the Mariners do, how to work with starting pitchers. So I think Baltimore's getting something for nothing there, and they're going to be able to make a deeper run than they would have without him. And then also, I've been mentioning it in the last segment as well, but Jazz Chisholm Jr., the Yankees did not have to give up Jason Dominguez. They didn't have to give up any of their top prospects either to get what already looks like a massive impact bat in the lineup.
Yeah, I like that you say that, and I know like the mainstream media follows you as well, Schultze, with that. I don't know. I was really out on Chisholm. I had heard a lot of stuff that was kind of like he was the best player on a bad Miami team, so there was no one there to check him. The real question was, how is he going to be as a clubhouse guy? Now, if you hit next to Soto and Judge and you're a living human being, you're probably pretty good. So I am a wait and see on Jazz. That's why I didn't want him. Like, I didn't want my team to trade for him because I was a little worried about that. But you're right. I mean, the returns are here, and the Yankees need. I would argue the Yankees need more help than the Mariners do, because the Yankees have World Series aspirations. The Mariners have let's make a run aspiration, and we'll see what Jazz does for them. Yeah, I don't know. Jazz is the weirdest player of all of this for me.
Because I understand 100% where you're coming from with Jazz, is that he had a good year.
Yep.
And it parlayed into all this hype, MLB The Show cover.
He's flashy. He's like Ellie De La Cruz without Ellie's talent.
And then injuries and underperforming over the last 2 years has taken some of that shine off.
But is he on a bad team, etc.? Bad management.
But listen,
Schumacher gets praised and hated every day.
I'm sure if you are on a bad team and you have nothing to play for other than yourself, and it's hard maybe coming to the ballpark every day because you know your team sucks, that maybe your performance takes a dip.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of guys that were on bad teams that were phenomenal players and are phenomenal players and still show up and still play well. And so is it a matter of he is the type of guy that with that little bit of extra motivation of playing for a winner and having something to play for, that he elevates his game? So far, that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 4 home runs, 2 in each game over the last 2 days. It's paying off.
Right.
So will it be sustainable? Is it going to be sustainable? Is yet to be determined. But I think that the Yankees, with the way that their offense has been playing over the last month or so, and the way that some of their role players outside of Judge and Juan Soto, it's been very much like we need something else here.
Yeah.
We need, who was it that made the remark? Was it Luis Severino? He's like, they got 2 good bats. And I know that he was kind of like
throwing a little shade.
Yeah, former team.
Throwing a little shade.
Yeah, trying to talk a little S, but that's where I think it kind of rang true in that team, is that it's like we do need something else here. And
I know.
I don't know if it's someone on the team to uplift us, but going out and Jazz and making a move, that's, as an Orioles fan, seeing them do that, I was like, oh, damn it, because what it could be for them is very good.
And I wonder, we'll get out on this, I wonder if adding Jazz Chisholm is like 5 years ago adding Russell Westbrook. That you're like, wow, this guy's insanely talented. He's going to take us to the next level. And then you're like, oh, he's not very good. That's what I wonder. So that's what we'll wait and see. When we come back, loaded second hour, we'll get into a new stadium deal in Tampa plus fair or foul. But I want to get into, when we start the hour, teams that you were surprised were buyers and teams that you were surprised that kind of stood pat. We'll get to that next. Loaded second hour. Don't go anywhere. Hot Corner. Today the Fan.
Save thousands.
Welcome into the second hour of the Hot Corner. If you missed the first hour, you can download that, the Fan Podcast, at 1080thefan.com or the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. Joe Fisher sitting next to me, Jordan Schultz on the ones and twos. We got Fair or Foul coming up in about a half hour. A big show, as it is the MLB trade deadline. And we'll get to a little bit of stadium news here in about 15. But I want to look around and kind of, I thought there was some really interesting tidbits about teams that made moves and teams that didn't make moves. Now, obviously, every team is active, so I don't want to say, let's take the Braves, for example. I don't want to say that Alex Anthopoulos, who's one of the best team running guys in all of baseball, was sitting on his booty doing nothing. He just couldn't find things done. But I think there is worth saying some things about teams that were active and teams that weren't active. I think one of the weirdest ones for me is the San Francisco Giants. Like, they send Soler to the Braves. They deal Cobb, but they also brought some guys in. Like, they don't, really know where they are. And I think there are some other teams like that too.
Well, I mean, Giants, massive underperformance this year, according to what I thought they were going to be, and a few others, especially with the moves that they made in the offseason. You brought it up a couple segments ago. I mean, with the Cardinals nipping at their heels, I mean, the Brewers not really doing anything.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That was a little strange. I mean, both of the teams, I know that you like the Lane Thomas move from the Guardians, but them and the Twins stand pat.
Yeah.
And if you're a Mariners fan, you got to be pretty happy that the Astros got Yosei Kikuchi,
which apparently Astros Nation is not very happy about.
I mean, yeah, former All-Star, quote unquote.
They gave up a ton for him, apparently. Like, all of a sudden, they just got, blinders on, said, I need you, whatever it takes, and they gave up some of the
They're
farm.
also used to trading for Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke. Like, that's what they're used to trading for when they need a starter going down the stretch. The Astros is an interesting one. The fact that they did not upgrade for first base is a wild thought. Starter, I don't know if starter was really what they needed. I thought they needed more.
Well,
there's rumors that Kyle Tucker might be done for the year.
Well, I mean, they do need a starter because they've had 2 or 3 get hung up for the year that aren't playing. And then God only knows when, we're going to see Verlander back to full strength.
Right.
So they did need a starter, but yeah, I don't know if you are, as an Astros fan, sitting here we made our team much, much better at the deadline. And if you're looking at either the Mariners or the Astros, I would say the odds have swung heavily in the favor of the Mariners.
I would agree.
Outlasting them in this division, which I didn't, again, a week ago.
Would have never expected.
Didn't think that was going to be the case.
Never expected.
I mean, start packing it up.
But it's weird how things can go. Like, the Cubs trade for Isak Paredes, right?
Which that's another team where it's just kind of what do you...
The Cubs were kind of odd. You had mentioned earlier the comments of, if we don't see anything, we're looking for the future. Now, Isak Paredes is under control for 3 more years.
I was going to say,
after
granted,
this season.
that is kind of looking towards the future.
So maybe that is the deal they needed to make. But
and who would you rather have for 3 years, Paredes or Morel? I mean,
Paredes.
Morel has pop in his bat, but outside of that, I would rather have Paredes.
But a bunch of people were in on Jameson Tyon. There's no movement there. Cody Bellinger is obviously your high leverage. You could move. You could potentially get somebody big. I also think another one that actually might be okay that they didn't do anything, paging the Philadelphia Phillies. What did they really do? Austin Hayes was a good pickup. I think that was a good pickup for them.
He hit a 3-run home run today.
But
if not today, it was yesterday.
But there really wasn't much from them, despite potentially being the best team in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was fascinating, that they just kind of looked at it. I mean, the Dodgers are the same aspect. Okay, they get Jack Flaherty. Nobody thinks that's going to work out well. They get Jack Flaherty, but they don't get anything else. There's no batting help. That farm system is so loaded, and they usually, 3 years ago, they got Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, and this year they got Jack Flaherty. So I think Phillies, Dodgers, and Braves are fascinating to me that they basically did nothing. Is Jorge Soler really moved the needle for you?
Oh, no.
If you're the Braves?
No. And he hasn't been good this year. I mean, maybe it's just a, return to scenery and you get him in the postseason and he's got that postseason
bobblehead night because he's an MVP.
Yeah. But I would definitely debate that the Dodgers did a lot. I mean, you get Jack Flaherty, who's been having a great year for Detroit. Now, the last time we saw Jack Flaherty get traded at the deadline was last year from my Orioles, and that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, he wasn't very good.
But them getting Kevin Kiermaier, I mean, Ahmed Rosario, whatever, but them getting Kopech for the bullpen. Again, I don't know if we're going to see Tommy Edman this year, but for the future, that is a great pickup. I really like Tommy Edman. It's just a matter of can he stay on the field. So I think, the Dodgers, and again, you want to talk about a team that has, as we're watching right now, the Dodgers and the Padres. The Padres sure as hell, man, they are
that
like...
bullpen's looking nasty.
Yeah, that could be one of the best in the league. And
is Jurickson Profar the NL MVP?
No, but...
Too bad they don't have a most improved player of the year in baseball, because damn.
Yeah, but that's where the Padres...
comeback player of the year.
Padres, man, they are... from the off season to this very day, they are going for it. They say F these picks, F these prospects. We hate the Dodgers.
Ride or die.
Dude, the Dodgers are annoying. And I think it'd be somewhat poetic justice. I mean, granted, it's like the Padres are trying to get big names and great players too, but still, it'd just be like, you think you guys are great over there in LA. Watch us come through, and I mean, they're 5.5 games back now. Watch us come through and end up, overtaking you. I don't know if in the standings, but maybe in the playoffs. I mean, that would be great. I would pay to see that.
I think I'll wrap up this trade deadline discussion with, I think what's the easiest, most disappointing team at the deadline, the team that was clearly there to make moves and completely fell on their face, will be what I think we all consider the worst franchise in baseball, and that's the Chicago White Sox. Okay, Eloy Jimenez gets dealt. The best move the White Sox have made all season is trading Dylan Cease, and that was in spring training. The fact that they stood pat and didn't move. Now, Crochet blew his own world up, but the fact that they didn't trade him, they didn't trade Luis Robert, the fact that there are a bunch of dudes on that team with talent blows my mind. In fact, Ozzie Guillen said something yesterday that I think is actually massively apropos to this situation. Jordan, roll that beautiful beam footage.
Well, right now, it's just kind of, I thought of the trader because I don't know, for some reason, some players out there, they think they're going to get traded. They're like, no, a couple guys making...
they've made comments
about they want to say, who warned you? Mm-hmm. For real.
And he's not wrong. Like, I think that's where the White Sox messed up, is that they are so bad and they're such a poorly run franchise. They got guys that we know their name, and people are like, why would I want you? Why am I going to pilfer? That's why I was kind of curious about the Rays. The Rays all of a sudden have guys that everybody wants. The Rays aren't very good. So if those guys together can't do it, why do you think they're going to be great on other teams? The White Sox are the absolute disaster. And I think this trade deadline just showed that organization has no idea what they're doing.
Well, I think just from reading the reports about the trade, like the prospects that they got back in that Cardinals Dodgers 3-team trade, like it was just kind of like, dude, you didn't really even get that much back as far as prospects wise. Like, yeah, it's amazing that a team that bad can still screw up in the not even on the fields or the off the field stuff. Like
all you got to do is trade dudes.
Yeah. It shouldn't be that hard, especially when you have a few players that teams want and see value in. And yeah, I mean, you look at their transactions, they really didn't get rid of anybody.
I'm so excited to see in 2 years when Garrett Crochet is like a free agent, and they're like, "Why would I sign you? You said you didn't want to pitch in the postseason."
It sounds like this organization got a little too high up in their britches and was not happy with the price of return. They're like, yo, we were asking a little bit more, and even in the seller's market, it was not to the White Sox standard, which that's hilarious if you ask me.
I think what blows my mind is when they sold Aaron Rowan, Chris Sale, they had dudes and they sold and they got, Giolito and, Eloy Jimenez, and they got all these Yoan Moncada, they got all these studs in the minors, and here we are 4 years later and they all suck. And it's probably your fault. It's mind-blowing.
Well,
it's mind-blowing.
Pedro Grifol will be a jobless manager at the end of the year.
All right, when we come back, there's a little bit of stadium news in baseball that does affect Portland, so we'll talk about that. Plus, we have fair or foul in 15 minutes. That's Joe Fisher. I'm Patrick Harris, 1080 The Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford.
Fair or foul coming up here in about 10 minutes. Thank you so much for listening to this terrible voice right now. If it makes you feel any better, it's not awesome to do it. So I'm sorry you have to hear it.
Get some lozenges, some Earl Grey tea. Are you a tea fan?
I drink tea every morning, my friend.
What's the tea? The golf tea?
Oh, over at 10B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's some golf teas over in the fridge in
Is
someone's
there?
office. You want me to
It's
grab you one?
basically a John Daly.
You want me to grab you one? Maybe that will soothe the throat.
Little John Daly. over
Shotgun
here.
one,
Little iced tea, lemonade, and vodka.
A little 10%er, just right down the gullet.
Right down the gullet. I mean, it's better than yesterday. Yesterday I talked like this. So I'm doing a little better. We got fair or foul coming up here in about 10 minutes. But what's interesting is as the Tampa Bay Rays fire sell at the deadline, it has now been approved by their county that they will share the funding for a brand new 30,000 seat ballpark, $1.3 billion. and the St. Pete City Council is going to spend $417.5 of that, which will keep the Rays in Tampa for 30 more years.
Well, we'll keep him in St. Pete.
St. Pete, thank you.
You still got to cross the bridge.
Please correct me when I need it.
You still got to cross the bridge, but you will no longer play in that dog-ass stadium of Tropicana Field. The mock-ups look pretty cute. I think they said that like 70% of the seats are going to be in like the lower 2/3. So it's going to be a very intimate stadium.
Very intimate. Let me tell you, it's going to be more intimate than anyone's ever seen.
I mean,
The most intimate you could ever ask
you've never
for.
seen a more beautiful stadium.
Ouch, my ear.
And I think it's, what is it, like a see-through roof or something like that?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I forgot what the correct wording is. Pavilion-style roof. I don't know what the hell they were saying. But anyway, again, anything better than Tropicana, for God's sake.
Yes, that place is a joke.
And that whole area, I think was it the historic gas plant district or whatever the hell they call it. They're going to redo all of it. So, good luck to the Rays. You would have done better in Portland, but you're staying put.
But this basically says that, like we're not getting a team, right?
What, us?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah?
It's that kind of attitude from people in this city,
That's
the negative Nancy's, the loser mentality.
My name is Patrick.
Let's just have hope for our sports here in Portland.
Hey, that's what they've been
Joe?
selling up
That's-
in Seattle for the last 40 years. Let's just have hope, okay? That's
Well-
what we sell in this very city for the Portland Trailblazers
People
fans,
keep
okay?
buying the hope.
I will buy that hope. Give me all the hopium right into my main vein, please.
I think it's interesting. I'm kind of surprised that this went down. I mean, I'm glad for St. Pete and for the Tampa Bay Ray Nation, but I'm a little surprised that they made this thing happen. I thought Tampa for sure would be gone.
It came out of nowhere. Granted, I wasn't keeping up on the day-to-day happenings of the Rays stadium situation. I mean, for God's sakes, we were just talking about last year how they're going to play half their home games in Montreal, were we not?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, how things have changed in a year where it's like, maybe we'll play some home games here. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll literally go like 1,500 miles away and play north of the border.
I like how the Rays also, like, before the deadline, had a ton of dudes that were not from America, and if they moved to Montreal, it's like, really? I got to get a second green card?
Yeah,
What are you doing to me here,
and
bro?
you got to learn possibly a third language in French.
Québécois.
Yeah.
Québécois.
Go Nordics. But yeah, I mean, this caught me by surprise. Nice little move by them.
It's great.
They did make one move at the deadline.
That was
here.
probably the biggest move of the deadline they made.
Yeah. So sucks that if you are a hopeless romantic like I am about the Portland baseball team, that you will not be getting the Portland Rays. Would be cool because that would be another sports team where the mascot does not match up with the city in the locale at all.
The Portland Rays.
Yeah, there's Rays in the
The
Willamette.
Portland Devil Rays.
Yeah, I think there's some Rays
Yeah,
swimming around in that thing.
they got 6 eyes and they eat poop for breakfast.
They're just very low in the water. You can't see them. They're down there with the sturgeon.
They're
all right?
bottom feeders.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Portland.
They're just
Bottom feeders.
So I don't know. Good for them. Again, thank God you're not going to have to play in Tropicana. I think it's 2028 is when they expect to open it.
Yeah, I think I saw that 28, 27,
I'm
something.
trying to
like
find the damn mock-ups because I think it's supposed to be like a kind of a see-through. Maybe it's not see-through, but just better. Which is again, you don't gotta. They're gonna have like windows along the edges, so
Okay.
you'll see kind of like a skyline.
They
Don't
just have tanks of Rays all around it.
Yes. Didn't they have that?
They have Rays down there.
That's what I'm saying. They had Rays like
but there's
in
like people you can like put your hands in. I feel like that water is really gross.
they just call them like what, the puppy dogs of the sea or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
don't
Rays,
know.
the whole Steve Irwin thing, that was just a one-off.
I'm still mad.
Oh, everyone's still mad. Our entire generation's still mad about it, okay? But they need to put Rays in the stadium somehow. Didn't they have like maybe it was the Marlins. Didn't someone have like a fish tank like right behind home plate?
Oh, yeah, someone did. Where was that?
I feel like it's something
I
that
think
the Marlins would have done.
Miami, possibly.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it can't be as bad as that monstrosity in center field they got.
Oh, well, they had to remove it because of all the foul balls were actually disturbing.
Marlins
like, the
Park fish tanks
Yeah,
removed for
Marlins.
2021 season.
Marlins were idiots with their new stadium design. They put that
Jeffrey
monstrosity
Lurie!
of a freaking home run
Hey,
sculpture
You gotta
statue.
you gotta love rich people that have no idea what they're doing.
They're trying, all right? They're
Yeah, I
trying their
guess.
best. They're trying to be creative. I love the idea of trying to make that happen. And then I see this picture of this dude literally putting tape up against the glass. Like,
Because it's gonna break.
yeah, exactly.
flood the on deck circle.
I love
with
how
a bunch of fish dying in front of him.
I love how on fish tanks at places they say do not tap on the glass, but blasting a foul ball directly backwards into it,
No
that's
problem
okay.
at
It's
all.
all good.
All right, that we'll get out of here. I wanna get out early and leave a little extra breathing room for fair or foul because I feel like Schultze's got a good one up his sleeve. So we'll do that next. This is the hot corner, and then there's Schultze with sports.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, the MLB trade deadline coming and going, and the Mariners adding one more piece before it expired, acquiring relief pitcher JT Chargois for a low-level prospect. Chargois appearing in 15 games so far and pitching to a 1.62 ERA. The Mariners also rolled in Boston tonight, 10-6, the final, a home run from Jorge Polanco, a couple of RBIs from new acquisition Justin Turner, and then 3 RBIs from Dylan Moore as well. Mariners and Red Sox in the rubber match of the series tomorrow, and hopefully they can grab that win because tonight they actually look like they're about to get a full game lead over the Houston Astros again in the AL West for first place. Let's see if that game has gone final yet. It has, so Pirates beat Houston 6-2. Seattle now leads the AL West once again officially by a full game. Lots going on in Paris at the 2024 Olympics. USA women's gymnastics taking the gold in team competition thanks to Simone Biles, as well as perfect vaults from Vancouver's Jordan Childs and Oregon State's Jade Carey in their first rotation. And on the pitch, the United States men beating Guinea 3-0, advancing to the knockout stage, taking on Morocco on Friday up next in the quarterfinals. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultze at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app.
baseball tapped at the plate. It'll trickle down the third baseline. The Mariners are going to let it roll.
A knowledge test to see how well they know the big leagues.
Lenny Randle gets down on his hands and knees and blows on it like a curler, and it goes foul.
And what our distinguished hosts think about the stories that popped up around the big leagues.
But he got down on his hands and knees and literally blew the ball across the foul line.
This is Fair or Foul on the Hot Corner on 1080 The Fan.
Oh, this is Fair or Foul. We do it every single Tuesday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, where Jordan Schultze tries to stump us or make us really talk and think about things as radio goes, and the shebangs and the sheboys and the sheboygans of the world. Without further ado, I will turn it over to a lot more clean-speaking man. That's Schultze over there.
Poughkeepsie. Appreciate it. He says Sheboygan, so I figured I'd go with another New York town. Poughkeepsie.
I thought Sheboygan was in Wisconsin.
I think there's a Sheboygan in Illinois, too.
Oh, it's like a Springfield.
Yeah.
Like 6 or 7 states.
But it's Sheboygan. That sounds a lot better than Springfield.
Yeah, Google is telling me Sheboygan, city in Wisconsin.
All right. Well, we know that for sure.
Boom.
Okay, Joe. Cool. Nice flex, bro.
Dude, get your geography game up, bro. All right?
Well, a couple of things maybe you guys don't know for sure. I can try to stump you on these first two, and then we'll get into some deeper thoughts about the trade deadline in the last two questions. Fair or foul number 1, Aaron Judge having a season. Of course, he's sitting at 39 home runs right now and 99 RBIs, batting almost 320.
I tried to go woo, and I went, I don't have it.
It's like
pass me my smokes.
Visiting my dying grandpa.
I did want to hold a cigarette in my mouth for the YouTube folks. Just to play it up.
Just have it hanging off the lip.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today.
Smart. Monkeys with a cigar hanging out or something like that. We could all do that. Let's see. All right, so guys, Aaron Judge, having a great season so far. 39 home runs, 99 RBI. He's obviously had some really big numbers really quick, so I was wondering if he could be the quickest player to ever get to 100 RBIs when he gets his next one, guys. Fair or foul? He could become the quickest player ever to 100 RBIs. Fair or foul?
I'm going to say foul because I feel like I know this from MLB The Show because I was tracking Joe Fisher's Joe Fisher's season for the Royals, and he was getting up there to set the single season record in the American League for RBIs. And gosh, I'm trying to remember who the all-time leader is in a single season, but it's like 190.
Yes.
So I would think that, God, and the name is escaping me because I Googled it like 5 times as I was tracking my amazing MVP-worthy
It's not
season.
like Tris Speaker.
No, it was
like that.
it was someone for the Cubs back in like the 30s or 40s or something like that. God, it's killing me.
You're right. You're right about the year and the team.
Yeah, it's something Wilson.
Oh, dude, you're good.
Again, I was
I'll
just
give
looking
it to you. It's Hack Wilson.
Hack Wilson. Thank
He's
you.
a hack.
I was just
there
looking this
hacking.
up. So I think it was old Hack because he also had like 170 RBI season too. This guy was insane. So I'm going to Hack Wilson or somebody else got there faster.
I'll side with Joe on this as Joe has blown this wide open. The only thing that upsets me is Aaron Judge leading the league in RBIs? Did he pass Jose Ramirez?
I think he was always ahead of Jose.
That makes me... No, he wasn't. Because, like, near the All-Star break, Jose Ramirez had 75 RBIs.
Oh, I know. I think Judge was... I think he had a little bit more. I'm not even kidding you. Judge is having an insane year. We need to remember this.
So I'll live with Joe Fisher on this, but I'm more sad that my starting third baseman, Jose Ramirez, is not leading the American League in RBIs.
Well, it is foul, guys. You're onto something about Hack Wilson, although I'm not even sure he was on my list. I'm trying to figure out exactly how quick he got to 100 RBIs that season. Impressively, guys, Barry Bonds back in 2004, and this was not his record-setting home run year, he actually got 100 RBIs in 356 at-bats. Aaron Judge is already sitting at like 383 or 4.
100 RBIs and 350 at-bats?
Yes. 350 at bats.
That's stupid.
And honestly, I'm trying to see like
don't do drugs, kids,
yeah.
or do drugs. I don't know what to tell you. That is an argument to do drugs.
If I had a pill given to me and the person giving it to me said, "Hey Schultze, this will make you one of the best radio hosts of all time.
Look,
it'd be hard pressed not to.
If you blow a bunch of these lines, hot chicks will be all over you. Or if you take this shot, you will have 100 RBIs and 350 at-bats.
McGuire, and I'm sorry, I was trying to Google to find out. Who did you say?
Barry Bonds, 356 at-bats only to get 100 RBIs.
Oh, see, I found some random message board. And
No,
I think
I hate those message board.
Because I think they're talking about their video game, too, in this. I got to 100 by the first week of July with McGuire.
Like this music?
Oh, dude. I
bet you Hack Wilson would have loved this music.
Rolling right now.
All right, so yeah, Barry, only 356 at-bats, even after he broke the home run. He only hit 45 whammies that year, so...
Only.
Still hitting a ton of ribbies, though. All right, fair or foul number 2 from one big hitter to another. Bobby Witt Jr., you guys. He is having a July for the ages.
It looks like the real deal.
It's crazy. Like, dudes would be happy with an entire season of stats that he's had in the month of July alone. I'm not going to go over them because it's kind of part of the whole fair or foul question here. So, guys, fair or foul, Bobby Witt has already broken the record for the highest batting average in a single month of all time. Fair or foul, Bobby Witt Jr. has already broken the record for the highest batting average in a single month of all time.
While I secretly think this answer is fair, I'm going to go with foul. Because as much as I like Bobby Witt and as much as I am excited that Bobby Witt looks to be the real deal and I can't wait to see how he progresses as a major league player, I cannot think that he has a better month than, say, Tony Gwynn, Albert Pujols, Manny Ramirez, Ty Cobb, Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Lou Gehrig. Those are the greatest hitters of all time. If you're going to tell me that Bobby Witt Jr. has a better month than any of those dudes, I'll eat my shoe on the air. Not really, because I can't eat anything. Swallowing hurts really bad. But that's how I feel.
Hot. Dear God, I'm still trying to find out who was got to 100 RBIs the quickest, and I already spaced on the question, Schultze. What was it again? Sorry, there. What was it?
It's all good. Bobby Witt, fair or foul, has already broken the record for the highest batting average in a single month of all time.
Last week he was like 13 for 15 or something like that.
Yeah, it's
after
stupid.
the All-Star break.
That's a lot.
I will say his slugging percentage, guys, in July, 839.
Does July not count because there's the All-Star break?
This is a minimum. I was going a minimum, and this actually, I believe, is what the record holders count was. A minimum of 75 at-bats, and he has eclipsed that. He's at 87 at-bats.
Fair enough.
I'm going to say foul, because I feel like this would be a little bit bigger of a deal if we were getting to this point of July, and it would be going around a little bit more. I got MLB Network on damn near every day.
Now I get to watch MLB Network on my MLB at bat.
When I'm watching it on the TV there over in the sales pit, and I feel like I would have seen something about this. Bobby was playing great, but I don't know if he set the record.
I wasn't able to stump you guys. You're both right. It is foul. So the best batting average of all time in a single month, Todd Helton. May 2000, he batted
Hall of Famer Todd Helton.
5-12. He was slugging over 1,000 that month.
Hall of Famer Todd Helton, and that's why Todd Helton's in the Hall of Fame.
Next up, Ivan Rodriguez, and he did it actually
Steroids.
with the Detroit Tigers.
Steroids.
Yeah, steroids, allegedly. In June of 2004, he bat 500. Then he got George Brett with the Kansas City Royals back in July of 1980, hitting 494.
A lot of chaw in that jaw.
Yeah, no kidding. And then Rod Carew with the Twins.
Yeah,
in,
there you go. Now we're
1977.
talking about like all-time guys.
Yeah.
We're talking about all-time guys. Rod Carew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so those four, as far as like players since 1969, have the best month ever. And
Nice.
Bobby Witt, he's got another game tomorrow, but so far his hit 483.
He's got to go 5 for 5 tomorrow to pass.
Let's see, that would give him 47 out of 92 hits. So let's see, just trying to do some calculating.
That's over 500.
Is it?
Yeah.
But how far over 500 is it?
Not much.
92 divided by 47. No, I did that wrong. 47 divided by 92.
There you go.
5'10". Nope, 5'11". He would not break Todd Helton's record. I think he'd have to go 6 for 6 to get there.
Todd Helton, Rod Carew. Who else was on that list? Pudge.
George Brett and
George
good old
Brett.
roided Pudge.
All of those dudes are in the Hall of Fame.
Damn right. Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt, just a savage.
I sold a bunch of his rookie cards. Oh boy, now I'm really
Let me tell you
glad I
this.
did.
In my fantasy keeper league that we just started, top 3 picks. Number 1, Ronald Acuna Jr. Number 2, Julio Rodriguez. Number 3, Bobby Witt Jr. Who do you think won that?
Yeah, probably should have gone number 2.
Probably should have gone number 2 with Bobby Witt.
All right, guys. Moving on to another middle infielder, or actually possibly a corner infielder at this point. Jazz Chisholm Jr., man, like you said.
Center fielder, Jazz Chisholm.
Hey, he told the New York Yankees he's able to play wherever the hell they need him to win a championship.
Second base.
Anybody? Gleyber Torres might be on his way out. He, as you said, he has hit 4 home runs in the last 48 hours, just having an absolute time and injecting some life back into that New York Yankees clubhouse, guys. So fair or foul, Jazz Chisholm Jr. is the spark the New York Yankees needed to get to the playoffs.
Well, I'll start it off. I mean, to get to the playoffs, I would say foul. They're going to get to the playoffs. As far as making a run and having more than just 2 hitters that you have to rely on, I would say fair on that. I think that, again, just the personality that Jazz Chisholm is, or
Chisholm.
Yeah. Again, another player we don't know how to pronounce his last name. Just the way that he is, I think that this is going to rejuvenate him to where he actually gives an F and cares about his at-bats, his approach, and now that he has something to play for and knows where this season potentially could go, this will light a fire under him and this Yankees team. I hope not too much of a fire, selfishly, but I think they did need a third player, because Volpe has taken a dip since the beginning of the season. Verdugo, while he's great in left field with the glove, his batting there's been a little bit left to be desired there. Torres isn't giving you much, so I think they just needed a star to come in and give them a shot in the arm, and I think he's going to do that.
I'm with Joe that I will say fair that he is the spark that they need. However, I'll take it a step further and say foul in the sense that he is the spark that takes them where they want to be. I still think this team is severely flawed. I think, okay, now you have, look at the Dodgers. When everyone's healthy, the top 4 are great. The rest is pretty garbage. I think the Yankees are the Dodgers light. Garrett Cole has been extremely inconsistent. Rodon has looked good and then looked terrible. This team, I think, if this team was called the Seattle Mariners, they would have the same problems the Seattle Mariners have. You got a couple good players, and you're good in this department, and you're terrible in other departments. That I think Jazz is the spark they need, but I don't think Jazz is the spark that gets them where they want to be.
All right, guys. Fair or foul number 4. Got to throw one in about my Mariners. The Seattle Mariners making 4 major trades, technically 5 because Ty France was sold off to the Reds, but getting 2 relief pitchers in JT Chargois, and Jimmy Garcia, as well as Justin Turner and Randy Arozarena to help at the plate. So, guys, fair or foul, the Seattle Mariners did enough at the trade deadline to not just make the playoffs, but to win the AL West. They did enough, fair or foul, at the trade deadline to win the AL West.
I'll go first. I will say fair. I do think they did enough to win the division, but a lot of that caveat is because I think the Astros were very poor in this. I think the Astros have glaring issues. I think Kikuchi is not the starter you needed, and I think they have a really big gap at first base. And Jeremy Pena has been good, but not good. Bregman's been a lot better than how he started, but this team is a shell, and there's rumors that Kyle Tucker's not coming back. And if Kyle Tucker's not coming back, then you're done. You're toast. Kyle Tucker's a top 5 player in baseball. I think the Mariners did enough to win the division. Do I think it's enough to get where they want to go? Maybe not. but I do think it's enough for them to win the division. I'll say fair.
I'll say fair as well. Yeah, and as you mentioned, I believe this is as of just 4 hours ago. Yeah, Kyle Tucker, 60-day injured list is where he's headed. So, I mean,
it's so strange.
There's
too.
like 60 games left.
He just took that foul ball off his shin, and he's toast.
But I think with what the Mariners did and what the Astros didn't do, and I
think it's more about what they didn't do.
Yeah. I took the Astros to win this division. I said about a month or so ago that the Mariners were going to lose the division, even with their lead. At that point, it wasn't 10 games, but it was enough to just make me feel like, again, seeing this team not good. But there was one team that did make a change, and one team didn't. And to me, the roster moves and getting that injection in the arm, getting Jorge Polanco back, and maybe
he's looked good last couple games.
He's looked great. So again, just when you get Julio, JP back, hopefully that's enough momentum and the bats start hitting the ball for the love of God.
Julio, JP, Polanco, who should have been there,
should have been playing like this from the beginning of the season,
and a Rosarena, 5 bats that in theory should get you somewhere.
Well, now that you've seen this sample size,
Cal Raleigh, number 6,
and now that you've seen this sample size from Robles, like you would expect, like it's like, all right, dude, you've been playing this good. Don't fail me now.
That guy was cut from a team that's going to fish last in their division.
It's
like that's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, not really, because my Nats are better than
my Nats too, dude. I had a lot of faith in them this year.
Nats, baby, Nats.
So I say fair that this will be enough for them to pull out the division.
All right, that'll do it for us. It is Fair or Foul. We do it every single Tuesday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. We come back, we'll wrap this bad boy up. Hot Corner, Today the Fan.
How's your T-shirt game set up for summer?
Well, we'll be back next week. It'll be August. And that's when it gets going, baby.
Real quickly, if you want to see one of the best typos of all time,
It's pretty great, Joe.
Go-
Send it.
go to Twitter.
It's all you. I'm turning this over to Joe Fisher. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Fisher III.
go to Twitter, go to either my profile at JoeFish3, FISCH3, or the Portland Tribune. And, man, they tell you how they really feel about the Multnomah County Sheriff in their tweet.
We can't say that word on the air, can we?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, is
I
that
think
a
in
dump?
another hour
Is that a
we-
dump?
Oh, that's a dump.
Okay.
Yeah.
At past 10 o'clock, technically the
Huge
FCC
dump.
is not
So
monitoring it.
county, if you take
Big
the
old
O out of county,
You get.
you get see you next Tuesday. It is the most Portland thing in the world that like the city has decided this is what we're gonna do, and then the county is like, yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, I love they present him to the jail, the guy today that they arrest for the camping ban, and then they're like, no,
I also want to know like
we're not taking it.
I also want to know like, okay, so there's a camping ban, all right, and we're not here on politics, okay? We're not here talking about policy or anything like that.
Oh,
I'm just-
am.
I'm
Fisher
just saying.
2024, baby.
I'm just saying, all right, we got the camping ban, right? You arrested one guy.
Hey, maybe
All the
it's-
camping in this city.
Maybe it's
You got one guy.
Maybe it's one of the
guy.
things
What did that guy do to get arrested? That's now what I want to know.
he didn't put out his campfire.
Well,
Properly?
what about the other 30 dudes doing the same?
Well, again, I was gonna say maybe that it's one of those things where like tomorrow it's 2, and then the next day it's 4.
Well-
And then the next day it's 8. It just keeps kind of doubling,
You're
and then
talking
before
like
you know
Ronald
it,
Reagan trickle down economics.
yeah, it's just it keeps multiplying by 2, and then before you know it,
We're
it's
gonna
at
get 'em
16,
all.
and
We're
then
gonna get
32, and then we're at
I've never seen how
64,
many we'll get.
and then before you know it, streets are clean. We're gonna be streets are clean in like a month.
Streets are clean in a month.
Yeah, that's like that is basic math right there. Okay.
You know, it's funny. Last summer, the wife and I went to Europe, and then I was walking around Paris, where the Olympics are, and they're talking about the Seine River being like super gross and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, man, there's something really like familiar about this place.
Yeah. Why does it smell like
Yeah.
poop?
God, I really love it here. I'm just so comfortable. Is that the Willamette?
Hey man, I was looking up E. coli levels.
No, that's the Seine.
I was looking up E. coli levels of the Willamette. Is there E. coli in the Willamette?
Stay tuned next week.
In
Hot
Portland?
Corner, 7
Probably.
o'clock.
Yes, but it's below the unsafe line or the whatever number they use
That's what I.
per 100 milliliters. So you're good. You're fine.
Is there E. coli in there? Yeah. But you're
Yes.
safe. Like, don't worry about it. Go
Yeah.
swim.
Just don't open your mouth in the water. But go in. God.
Yeah, you couldn't catch me swimming in the Willamette.
So funny. Growing up in Vancouver, I was always told that Vancouver Lake is disgusting, and Vancouver Lake is disgusting,
Yep.
but it is not as disgusting as the Willamette,
Not even close.
the poop-filled Willamette.
Hey man, you can go.
I do miss the Willamette. I miss that we could see it, so you could like see the turds. It just like resonated more. Now I'm kind of like, is it overblown? I don't see it all the time. People might be making stuff up. When we were at Macadam, that was like Bancroft. That was like, there's poop.
Listen, man,
That's
Cathedral Park boat launch, only 2 E. coli organisms per 100 milliliters, and that was a week ago, all right? So you're fine.
Only you can prevent
E. coli.
wildfires.
An E. coli count less than 406 is below the health standard. So you are well in that range. You are fine.
Only in America isn't like, hey, this thing might kill you, but it's below threshold.
You know,
You're fine.
in Newburgh, that where I live, that's really close to some like farm areas.
Totally, you definitely got to watch that stuff.
Oh yeah, and I was like, I honestly think I would rather swim in downtown Portland than the Willamette River over in Newburgh, where there is cow s.
really, you think it's that much worse?
Oh, I think so. Farming chemicals and sprays and
Fake
cow
news.
poop and everything in there. It's like a sludge in there.
Fake news.
It's got a nice little sheen over it. Algae blooms.
Don't take your dogs. No dogs. All right, that'll do it for us. We come back next week. Starting to look ahead.
Yeah.
Trade deadline's over.
If you come back next week.
Now it's who's here to play and who's going home. We'll look into it. Guys coming off the DL, guys going down. Like, we'll see. There's a lot of baseball still to be played.
like you said, it's August next week. We're getting into the crunch time.
This is where it goes. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next week. That's Joseph Fisher to my left. Schultze on the ones and twos. I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something I would do, like some tea and some honey. Honey.
Save thousands. Be advised. This